Yo, what's up YouTube? Today I'll be testing every gem farm method in Anime Expeditions so you don't have to. Alright, as you can see, I have a fresh new account. I only have Monkey D. Luffy as my only unit, and I have only 500 gems, which you start with, and 0 gold. And of course I'm level 1. And I'll also be ranking all these grinding methods in a tier list from S to D to truly see which one's the best. Anyways, let's get into the first grinding method. Alright, so the first and probably most simple way to get gems is probably doing the story mode. As on the normal mode of the School Grounds Act 1, you get about 75 gems each time you complete it, and it takes about 2 minutes to complete. So if you do the maths, that's about 2k gems every hour of doing this. Then there's hard mode, which in my opinion, I recommend you do this one as it gives more gems, gives 100 gems each time you do it, and it only takes about an average for like 30-40 seconds more. So I recommend grind out School Grounds hard mode as it just gives more gems and doesn't even take that much long. Also, I forgot to say, on the story mode, hard mode, every hour on the School Grounds, it gives you 2,500 gems. And looking at all these story modes, personally, I'd only do the School Grounds as it's, in my opinion, the most easiest to do out of these. And also, there's one more thing I did not say, and I forgot to say. There are first time rewards on every single act. So let's say you complete one act, you get, I think 500 gem bonus. You can quote me on that. I think it's 500 gem bonus every time you complete an act, which is pretty good for beginner players just starting out like I'm doing for this example. And so that's pretty good if you want to speed up the process. Alright, so as you can see, after you complete the first 5 acts of School Grounds, you'll see there's an infinity mode. For this infinity mode, it works differently than the rest of them, as you get gems in waves. So basically, you get about 50 gems every single wave, every single 5 waves you complete. So it's basically the longer you can last, the more gems you could get. And this is pretty good for later in the game when you can complete the waves quite easily and quite fast. So this is another very good way to grind gems. And also, I would not recommend Infinity mode if your units are not ready for it yet. This is that if you have weak units, they already struggle a little bit to complete these acts on hard mode, I would not recommend you doing Infinity mode, because it's going to be quite difficult to make more gems than what you're doing on the Act 5 hard difficulty mode. So if you're struggling to even complete the Act 5 hard modes, I would not recommend doing the Infinity mode. Alright, next you have Mastery mode, which is the last one out of the story mode. It gives 100 gems every clear that you do, and about 3 minutes to complete this one. And also, every hour, this should give you about 2,000 gems if you grind out every hour, which is pretty decent doing the Mastery mode, and it should give you some pretty good gems to grind. Anyway, let's go on to the next method. Also, another good thing about Mastery mode is that it gives you good artifacts like these two, which is pretty good compared to the others, which you cannot get them. So that's what makes Mastery mode probably a bit more useful than these. These are still good, but Mastery mode gives you these 2 artifacts, which are pretty good to have. And if I had to rank this first grind method, I'd probably put in A tier, as it's pretty solid for beginners, but there's definitely better ones coming. Alright, next you have raid mode, which you need to be level 25 to access it, which I'm assuming you would be after completing the story modes. Alright, I won't be going too much into detail with raids, but it's pretty good for raid materials and raid units, but still good for gems, but not as much as the others. But raid is really useful for the materials and the raid units. So you're probably going to put this in C tier, as for beginners, I don't think it's the best thing to do. Alright, now we're probably going to talk about the best gem grinding method in my opinion, which is if you go to the story area here and you press back, you'll see challenges. They are really good for gem grinding, as they take a really short amount of time. They take about 2-3 minutes, pretty sure to complete. And they give a good amount of gems, and a good amount of these challenges can give over 1k gems like this one here, which is just really good for beginners just starting out. they can complete this in a short amount of time and get 1,000 gems for just completing this for 3 minutes. And also a good amount of XP along with it and some crystals, which is pretty good for beginners. And would definitely recommend challenges the most out of anything in this video. However, the only catch with these challenges is that there's not really many of them, as you only get a daily limit of 10 per day. So you can only do this challenge 10 times per day and you can't do it anymore. So that's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. It's pretty good either way. That's about 10k gems every day by just doing this. So I'd still definitely recommend doing these challenges. So yeah, every day I just recommend going to this progressive bar, clicking on challenges and just doing these regular challenges, daily challenges, weekly challenges every single day, 10 of them per day, and you can get about 10k gems every 30 minutes, which is pretty good. And for challenges, I'll probably put it S tier, as I think this is one of the best grinding methods to do if you're a beginner, as it's just really simple and easy to do. Alright, lastly, I recommend doing quests, as they give around 100 to about 5k gems every quest, which is pretty good. As you can see, this one gives 1k gems for completing 60 quests. This one here, 500 gems for any 3 challenges. And here, just spending gems, you get 500 gems. Just really quick and easy things to do. And you get a good amount of gems for it. Here, on my days. Here, spend 50k gold and you get 2 or 5k gems, which is a really good deal. And some battle pass XP. So yeah, this is also one of the best ways to grind gems in my opinion. Doing these quests daily, weekly, and unit quests. Alright, lastly, I'm going to rate quests at S tier in front of challenges, as I think it's the most superior one, as you can do these ones infinitely and they give more gems overall. So I think this is the final tier list for all the grinding methods for gems. Alright, that is it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button and see you guys next time.